That is something that you'll get a lot of hate for if you say it out loud.
Transgender people are not obligated to tell someone that they are trans the first time they meet them.
Motherfucker, you fucked up, huh? You fucked up, huh? You know your ass is doomed.
Do you tell your entire history, like genetic history, familial history, the first time you go on a date with someone? No. And if you do, then you might as well give them your online banking password.
Why you shouldn't tell straight guys that you're transgender, because I'm getting a lot of people, presumably from the US of A, telling me about myself and saying that I'm condoning my actions. First of all, I'm not condoning and I'm not preaching that you should do as I do. I'm saying food for thought, maybe do as I do, make sure that you're safe in a public area. And yeah, my argument is that we're not being deceptive or deceitful. Trans is not a bad thing. That's why you're saying, oh, this person's going to get beat the fuck up because you see trans as a bad thing. It's not. That's a you issue. That's why you will be imprisoned if you do something harmful. It's not deceptive. You are there to meet an individual. If you have ulterior motives of trying to get into that person's pants, which a lot of guys do regardless of going on a date with a trans girl, then that's your problem as well. You are supposed to just go on an innocent date with that girl. We are women. It doesn't make you gay. And it's not necessary to say that we're taking that choice away from them. It should be comparable to the thing of like, where if a guy doesn't like that girls are like have like plastic surgery, or like if they're not a natural blonde or whatever, it's comparable to that.
What the fuck?
Thank you, sir. This case 25-059-442, State of Michigan versus Malik Javon Fales. Counsel.
Magistrate, good afternoon. Always a pleasure. Steve Vincent for the people.
And Ryan Murad, P83665. I'm here, Mr. Malik Fales. We waive the formal reading and stand mute. Mr. Fales has been advised of his constitutional rights.
Court will enter not guilty plea on your client's behalf. As to bond.
Magistrate, we're asking for a remand, a no bond in this matter under 6.106, uppercase B, the number 1, lowercase b. The allegations here, quite simply, they're unacceptable. They're dangerous to the highest degree, and they're hideous. We allegedly have a defendant who ended up paying a victim to give him oral sex in an alleyway in the city of Detroit. Subsequent to the defendant paying and the oral sex act being completed, we have this defendant who allegedly with the victim ended up agreeing to intercourse. But prior to the intercourse act, we have this defendant allegedly finding out that the victim identified as a transgender.
All right. Okay. All right. Y'all got to forgive me because it's not funny at all. It's not funny. It's hideous. However, this is why we have these discussions as men about the importance of mastering your sexual libido. Because when you do not, you put yourself in harm's way in every way, shape, and form, y'all. Imagine being down a dark alley late at night. You horny as all get out. You horny as ever. At this point, you willing to do anything to get your little rocks off. So you go down a dark alley at night with this chick that you believe is a natural born woman. You get down there and you so horny that you say, you know what? I don't just want the head. I want full on blown intercourse. I want to feel them insides because the horny is just taking over at this point. It's just taking over. It's taking hold of you. You can't shake it. So you say, you know what? Head ain't good enough. I want them insides. And then the woman says, all right. And she goes to drop them drawers. and some meat flop out. Some meat done flopped out, bro. And, you know, I know that they say that it's hard to tell these days because between the makeup, the cosmetic surgeries, between all of the different things that these boys and men are doing to make themselves look like women, I know that they're saying that it's becoming increasingly more difficult to identify when you are dealing with a transgender. But y'all, you can't tell me that in a lot of these cases, you know what you're looking at if you take the time to assess. But that's what happens when your vision is clouded by the horny demon. Because the horny demon comes in and he just takes over and just discombobulates everything that you got going on. You can't even think straight because you want to get your rocks off. That's all you can think about. It's consumed you. Let's get a little bit more. Let's get a little bit more information about this.
Now to this. The details are disturbing. A teen is accused of strangling a transgender woman to death and stealing her money and her cell phone, then leaving her body in an alley behind a laundromat.
It's a case that has some neighbors and LGBTQ advocates speaking out. Local 4's Damond Fernandez joins us now with more. Damond.
Well, that fatal assault happened on Woodward near 6 Mile. You know, it's an area many neighbors say is known by people looking for sex workers, including those identifying as transgender. Now, the criminal charges in this case have some advocates opening up about an often unspoken reality. It's the tragedy behind this laundromat near Palmer Park.
The allegations here, quite simply, they're unacceptable.
A black transgender woman beaten and strangled to death in this alley back in June. And now this week, investigators announcing they're charging 18-year-old Malik Fales in connection to that murder.
They're dangerous to the highest degree, and they're hideous.
During his court appearance, prosecutors allege the teen paid the victim, 28-year-old Christine Hayes, to perform a sex act in the alleyway. Prosecutors say once completed, things took a violent turn.
Allegedly finding out that the victim identified.
Wait. I missed that. I didn't know that he had already, I didn't know, he said it was completed. Y'all heard that, right? Hold on, let me back up a little bit.
They say once completed, things took a violent turn.
So you went through with it. Okay, no. Yeah, no. See, now I have a totally different perspective on this. I have a totally different perspective on this now. I have a totally different opinion on this now. I'm going to let him finish first. But I have a totally different opinion on this now, on what I actually think happened.
Allegedly finding out that the victim identified as a transgender. And as a direct result of that, we have this defendant who allegedly ended up choking that individual to death.
Obviously, we are all heartbroken and devastated.
Brendan Bell is Associate Director of Programs and Services with Affirmations Community Center. Bell says violent assaults on members of the transgender community is a reality happening far too often.
I don't know.
Okay, wait. All right. Okay, let me say this. I think what I originally said happened. I think he paid to get some dome. But then he was like, nah, I want more. And then that's when he found out what he was truly dealing with. And then that's when shit went awry. So I think I was right in what I originally said. I'm gonna let this finish out.
A single trans or non-binary person, both that I know in my life personally, or that I work with on a day-to-day basis, that isn't terrified right now.
Bell says there are several factors at play among trans community members, including bullying and rejection, other realities leading to high-risk behavior, and there's often fear reporting incidents to police.
And so when we look at incidents of violence, specifically towards the trans community, we see it disproportionately aimed at the black trans women specifically.
As for Malik Fales,
this case, Judge, I don't think my client presents any sort of general danger to the community. I think this case arises from pretty unique, highly fact-specific circumstances.
While the teen's defense attorney's fighting to get him a bond, the judge determined it's too risky for now. And so there are advocacy centers and organizations across Metro Detroit working to bring awareness and attention to cases like this, including Affirmations Community Center, the Ruth Ellis Center.
All right. One of the things that we need to bring attention to is the fact that a lot of people in the trans community do not think that it's necessary or believe that they have an obligation to let people know that they are dealing with sexually, that they are what they are, that they were born as a man. We got to start there. That's why I put that clip at the beginning of this video. That's why I put that there, because that's not the only person that this seems to be the consensus with. There are a lot of people in that community that believe they do not have to tell people that they are going to deal with sexually that they were born a male or otherwise. And that is a very dangerous game that you are playing. Let me tell you right now. If the point has not been driven home with this, it is that you are playing a game of Russian roulette when you decide to hide the fact that you were born as a male with male genitals. A lot of men feel betrayed in the moment. They feel betrayed. They feel like you're playing with them. They feel disgusted. They feel a lot of things, I'm sure. There's a lot of emotions. So why would you even want to put yourself in that situation? Why wouldn't you want to protect yourself and just let the person know that you're dealing with, yo, by the way, and I'm going to tell you why they don't do it. Because they're afraid of rejection. But if you are afraid of rejection because of what it is that you truly are or what you were born as, then that should be a good indication to you right there that something is off with what you are doing. If you know that the chances of someone rejecting you is a lot higher, would be a lot higher if they knew what you really were, what you were genetically assigned upon birth, then chances are you also know that you in the fucking wrong. Let's not be dense, people. Because while I do not believe that anyone should have their life snatched away from them by someone else under these circumstances, I do believe that there is a ton of responsibility on the part of the person who is playing dress up. You shouldn't go around doing that without disclosing what you are to people that you plan to be intimate with. Just period. Yes, there's a bigger issue here to talk about as far as men being accountable and holding themselves to a higher standard as far as being sexually involved with randoms, especially with the fucking diseases that we got going on out here, because I know they ain't strap up. I know y'all ain't out here strapping up. I know that. So yes, that's a separate discussion that we need to have. But at the base of this, if that person would have said, I'm sure before, hey, I want to put you in the know that I wasn't born a woman. Oh, but that's going to change the way that they look at me. That's going to change the way that they respond to me. That's going to change the way they react to me. Yeah, well, no shit. And if you're afraid of fear of rejection, guess what? It means that you probably more like you more than a man than ever. Because guess what? Men deal with rejection all the fucking time. Men face rejection all the time. It's a part of life. And even in you trying to change it to a woman, you still can't escape it, can you? That's why you shouldn't play dumb games. Let's see what else I got to say here, if anything.
And as a direct result of that, we have this defendant who allegedly ended up choking that individual to death. Subsequent to the choking and the death, we have a defendant who allegedly ended up taking the money that he had given that individual for the sex act out of that individual's shoe. We also have a defendant who allegedly ended up stealing that individual's phone. He ended up fleeing the scene. He ended up selling the phone. And then we have a defendant based on police investigation being picked up and arrested.
Yeah, he was stupid all the way around. He was stupid all the way around. You stole the. It was one thing to take back the money that you were giving him, but you not only did you rob him after you choked him and killed him, but you took the phone and sold it. You fucking stupid. Yo, this is why it's important for fathers to be active in their sons' lives so they can let them know, hey, do not be out here. Do not be out here throwing your little dick around and every little thing that's willing to take it. This is why. This is why we got to have the very real conversations with our sons about how they should be responding to stimulation out here in these streets. I have this conversation with my boys frequently because I want them to know. I want them to know. As men, yes, you're going to get horny. You're going to feel that little horny demon on your shoulder. It's going to want to make you do some things that you probably shouldn't. Think twice and a third time before you actually make that decision, because there are consequences that come along with that shit when you make the wrong one. We got to have this conversation with our sons and our boys and our nephews and our kids, y'all. We have to, because when we don't and we ignore it and we act like the problem doesn't exist, they go out here at 18 years old and they proposition somebody for some type of sexual favor, and then they end up finding out that they wasn't even a woman. So they get mad in a moment, anger takes over, and they choke them out. And now she's dead. A person is dead. His life is gone as well at 18. It's over. That's why it's important for us to be not only present, but teaching these lessons. What other proof do you need? And trans people, I do not understand why y'all would want to consistently play this game of Russian roulette with your own lives. It's to your own detriment that you're doing this. Running around, not disclosing what it is that you were born as is crazy to me. It's like throwing an active firecracker under the hood of your own car while you're driving it and seeing what happens. Drop a comment down below. Let me know what y'all think about it. I'll holler at y'all later.